Warm welcome. This is Markus Termin at the 11th of April 2024. We have a moon changing situation today. As I'm speaking, the moon is still in the sign of Taurus, the sun, of course, in the sign of Aries. Taurus is a friendly moon, and it's the moon right after the sun eclipse, which was a new moon, of course, at the same time. But now, today, the moon is going to change into the sign of Gemini, and it's going to do this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Gemini moves the energy from earth to wind, to air, and when the moon does this shift to Gemini, it right away makes an aspect to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So this is a day split into two halves. The first half is kind of a slow starting thing. It's an invitation for people to come together and hold hands, something like that. And the second half of the day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, let's have a look at the chart too, so you see it clearly. When the moon shifts over to the sign of Gemini, see, this is the aspect I'm talking about, then we'll get some wind to blow. Wind blowing in the terms of the four element teaching means that some intellectual movement of thinking and knowledge starts to get some fresh air into that axis, and it's always about when the moon does this angle to Pluto, we get a push in the freedom movement in general, which is not bad, is it? Of course, we are still under the influence of Mars touching Saturn up there in the sign of Pisces. It turned around to be not too difficult, and the reason for that, in my view, is the sextiling figure in between Saturn and Jupiter. After all, it's a sextile, so that makes this harsh aspect in between Mars and Saturn a little more mild. What kind of harsh aspect is this anyhow? This is force against something that wouldn't let this force push through. That's the problem in general. Last thing I want to talk about today is Mercury. Mercury is going to be in Cassini this night at 1 o'clock Middle European summertime, and 2 or 3 hours plus and minus around this very point of time, Mercury himself has an audience to the king. The king is the sun, of course, and this is the audience. This is the visiting of the palace of the Sun King, and this is a very, very fine and good aspect for decisions, for contracts, for anything that needs to be seen under the rays of the sun. When Mercury is a little besides the sun, it's not worth very much because we haven't any clear sight. It's intellectual things are not able to be focused in the right way. But when Mercury, just for a short period of time, I'm talking about 4 hours this night, is right in the center of the sun. And there's a real Cassini in my sense, which is the Cassini of planets being retrograde in front of the sun, which is possible for Mercury and Venus only. And there's another Cassini, which I call the false Cassini, which is not a real one in my sense. That is Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars being behind the sun, being behind, well, not Mars, of course. No, Mars is not being behind the sun, but that's the false Cassini. Behind the sun is always the thing with direct movement, and in front of the sun is retrograde. You know, that is actually what is the important thing. Thank you for listening. This is Markus Termin, Astrologisches Stundenbuch at the 11th of April 2024. In case you would like to get in contact, use this mail address up there, and down here at my blog site you'll find the conditions of a consultation. See you tomorrow.